Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me today. I've chosen to be outside today for our next perspective demo, and it's not exactly the warmest day, I have to say. Could have chosen a better day. And there'll be some background noise probably of neighbours and cats and various other things, but it all adds to the ambience of it, so that's good fun. Today what we're going to be doing is a 2-point perspective drawing of my studio, which is on your screen now. And I've chosen it deliberately because there's quite a few different angles here for us to deal with. It might look quite complicated to begin with, but I'll break it down to some simple ideas. The first thing to become aware of, as with the previous drawing, is where is your eye level. So I'm sitting down at the moment, so my eye level, remember, is that horizontal plane that stretches across my field of vision. Once I've decided where that is in reality and sort of plotted points around my subject that I'm looking at, I then have to do that on my page. So I've prepared this already and decided that I want my eye level to be around about the halfway point. And I've put in some of these vertical lines. Now these are just proportional lines telling me roughly where the end of the studio is, where this corner of the studio is, where the far side of the studio is, maybe where one of the trees are, that kind of thing, and the height of the studio as well. So I've plotted that in advance really, just to speed up the process a little bit. Remember, as I said, these are proportional considerations, not perspective considerations, two separate things. So what I want to do now is to decide where my vanishing points are within that. Now, when I look at this, I can already tell you that I know for a fact my vanishing point will end up being off the page. And that's not really a problem. I can take that point, it's about 2 or 3 inches off each side, in fact. Still on the eye level, remember, because lateral vanishing points are always on the eye level. And I'm going to project those back onto the page. So again, I've decided already roughly where the top of the studio is going to be sitting. So that's going to be the corner there and there, like that. The far side, in fact, is roughly about the same size. So I'm going to just touch that in at the same time. It's going to be sitting in about there. And that'll be in about there at the bottom. So the roof is going to be sitting at an angle like this, and I can just check that in reality, just have a look at it, and that looks pretty reasonable, I would say. If I was to follow those 2 points down of the roof now, with a straight line, that would take me to a point just here, just off the page, so about 2 or 3 inches off the page on that side, on the eye level. All of the lines that are on that plane are going to be heading towards that vanishing point. Same goes for everything on this side. Now, because we've got 2 angles today, it does slightly confuse things. This is why we're needing 2 vanishing points. In our previous demo, if you remember, we were looking straight onto a wall, and as a result, we only needed 1 vanishing point because all of the lines were parallel, and they were all converging on that 1 point. If I was to show you just a little picture here of what we're looking at, but from above, what we've got here is the bike shed on the left-hand side. We've got a sort of boundary wall at the back here. There's the fence that goes all the way around and out the other side of the studio, so that sits at right angles there. There's the studio itself and the step and various planting and things. In essence, what we have though are 2 different angles. So all of these are running horizontally across the plane that way. All of these are running vertically this way. Now these are 2 sets of parallel lines, and as a result they both need 2 different vanishing points. So we've got one set that are heading off to the left hand side here, top of the studio roof on that side, the ground, the front of the step, that kind of thing. On the other side we've got the top of the roof on that side coming this way off the page, the bottom of the studio, which we can't quite see because of the foliage, but we know it's there, coming up that way and heading to the vanishing point on this side. Hopefully it'll become a little bit clearer as I start to draw it for you. And I'm just going to start doing that now. I'll start blocking in some of the lines and then we'll take it from there. Okay folks, I think I'm going to call it quits there. I've ended up with a very expressive pen drawing of what's in front of me, in part because I'm shaking so much, 'cause I'm so cold, that it gives a very expressive line, so that adds something to the picture. If you think back when we first started, the first thing I became aware of was my eye level. So that invisible plane that stretches across my field of vision. And I'm still conscious of that now and where that sits on the page here. In addition to that, remember I said the two vanishing points on this occasion are off the page. They're still on the eye level, but there's one off to the left-hand side, about 3 or 4 inches off the page, and likewise on the other side as well. Now the one on this side relates to everything on this facet, or anything that's parallel to this facet. So the top of the studio, the base of the studio, the front of the planter, even the fence here. This fence, the top of the fence is on my eye level, so it's horizontal, but it's still converging on that vanishing point off to the side here. Anything that's on this facet, however, this side of the studio, sloping down towards that vanishing point, or sloping up, we can almost see it with all the foliage that's there. The base of the studio, the bike shed here is sloping up to that point. The top of it sloping down to that point. Anything up here, the gutter line of this little building here, sloping down towards that point because it's parallel to that building there. Which is why we needed two vanishing points. So hopefully that makes some degree of sense to you. We've got all sorts of clutter here as well with the ellipses. If you remember, I mentioned about elliptical perspective as well. So if it's above my eye level and it's curved, like the steeple is, it will be curving up the way in a convex kind of angle there. If it's something like the plant pot down here in the foreground, that's below my eye level. So the front edge of that will be concave. It'll be curving under there as well. So again, hopefully that makes some degree of sense to you, and you're able to look back on that for reference. Head off and give it a shot yourself. And any questions at all, feel free to email me or contact me through the website. See you later. Thanks again.